As we move through RIW, there's multiple different ways that you will be earning your grade. One of the more significant ones is for playing the game and being involved in the community around it. And we have a specific rubric for that. So let's take a moment to look at that. This is the full rubric. There are 4 different categories that you'll be assessed in related to this, and there's 4 to 5 bands depending on whether or not you count 0 as a band. Now we're grading this on sort of an IB styled rubric, which means that you don't get like individual points across it. Instead, it's more of like, where are you the majority of the time? So if you're primarily in the 5 to 6 band, you're in the 5 to 6 band, that's where you are. If you're primarily in the 7 to 8 band, but you happen to have 1 or something that is down in the 5-6 band instead, you are in the 7 to 8 band still. It's where the majority is. So let's look at these individual categories. The first one is acquiring Pokemon. So this is related specifically to Pogo, the game itself. Now, when we talk about the 0 category, there's 2 different ways 0 can count. 0 could be that you've really been trying and for whatever reason you can't play, like your phone's messed up or whatever, but you showed good effort. And that could be still a partial grade. The other type of 0 is that you didn't do anything at all. And that's a 0. There's no partial grade for doing nothing. So having that mentioned, let's actually look at how you score in these. So for the 1-2 band, catching Tier 1 unevolved Pokemon. So when you're just running around in the game, the Tier 1 are what you usually see. They're the base level. They haven't been evolved at all yet. The one that you first get when you first start the game, at the very beginning, where you have to choose which of the 3 you want, Charmander, Squirtle, or Bulbasaur, those are all Tier 1s. The 3-4 band, a Tier 2, as well as Alolan or Lucky's. So Tier 2, that's when you've evolved it 1 time. So if it's one of your base critters, like the Charmander, Squirtle, or Bulbasaur, that would be that next one up. So Charmeleon, Wartortle, or Ivysaur. Now there are of course other ones that you can get out in the wild as well. So if you happen to have a Pikachu, his Tier 2 would be Raichu. Now, some critters don't have second levels or second evolution stages. Some of them don't have third stages. It varies from critter to critter, so just be aware of that. If you have a critter that says he can't evolve, that doesn't mean that he's a Tier 3. It doesn't mean he's a Tier 2. He might be a Tier 1. He might be one that doesn't evolve at all. The Alolan or Lucky, both these have to do with having friends in the game. So sometimes you can see an Alolan out in the wild, but it's pretty unusual. Normally, you get them from the special 7 km eggs, which come from gifts that you open from friends. Luckies also have to do with friends. Those you can't get in the wild. The only way you can get a Lucky is through trading. So anytime you trade a Pokemon to another player in the game, you have a chance, a small one, but a chance that it might be Lucky. For the next band, we have Tier 3, so that's evolving it all the way up for those that can evolve that high. For your 3 starter Pokemon that we've talked about before, that would be Charizard, Blastoise, and Venusaur. But of course, there are plenty of other ones out there that can be evolved all the way up to a Tier 3. So even the basic Pidgeys that you might see can evolve up to a Tier 3. Just keep in mind that not everything has that many levels of evolution. We talked about Luckies already, but we're adding Shinies to this band. So Shinies you can get in the wild. Sometimes they hatch from an egg, and you can also occasionally get them from raids, although they're rare in general. They're just about always rare. The easiest way to get a Shiny is to participate in community days, because the odds of running into a Shiny on a community day for the specific species related to that day are way increased. It's like 1 out of like 30 or something, instead of the usual like 1 out of 400 or something intense. The shiny rate for eggs is a little bit better, and the shiny rate for raids is quite a bit better, but you don't have as much access to those, right? You can only do like a raid or 2 a day. Hatching eggs takes a lot longer too than just a regular engagement with wild Pokemon. Baby Pokemon are a little bit harder to get to. You don't find them in the wild, they only come from eggs. We've also added semi-legendary and legendary to this. Majority of the time these come from raids, but you can find some of the semi-legendary out in the wild, and occasionally there are semi-legendary that you can get from community days. Legendaries are typically found in raids, but you can also sometimes get them from the 7-day research. I don't have it specifically stated here, but you could also count mythics in here. So mythics currently can come from X-raids. So the current X-raid boss is a mythic. There's also these special quest lines that are mythics too. So that's Mew and Celebi and probably Meltan. I think Meltan counts. The last band, we're still sticking with tier 3s because there aren't tier 4s, not yet anyway. Evolving with items, so that's a new one on here. Some Pokemon can only be evolved with items. You'll have to have a special item in your inventory that allows him or her to evolve. These can be picked up from any Pokestop, but they are pretty hard to get. They're pretty rare. Occasionally you'll get them from gifts from friends. That's probably a little bit easier of a way. You also have an increased chance to get them on your 7-day streak. So when you spin a Pokestop and it's the 7th day in a row that you've done that, you have an increased chance. Instead of shiny or lucky, we're now doing shiny and lucky. Instead of Alolan or babies, we're doing Alolan and babies. And then semi-legendary or mythic or etc. like we discussed already. The next band has to do with your in-game character. So for the very first scoring point, all you have to do is just have your character and have customized their outfit, so just not the regular low set. The next band, getting a few gym badges, a few medals, and making a few friends. These are all pretty easy. Gym badges don't require actually fighting anybody. All you have to do is go to a gym and spin it, and you'll get a gym badge. Medals are a little bit more involved. Sort of. Gym badges require you to go somewhere. Medals don't necessarily require you to go anywhere. You can earn medals for doing all sorts of things in the game. It could be fighting in enough gyms. It could be having critters positioned at gyms for a short length of time. It could be just catching a few of the same type of Pokemon. So catching like 5 or 10 or something fire types or normal types or flying types or something like that. Friends could be potentially challenging, but being that you're in a room full of other people that have the same requirement, should be pretty easy. Get their friend code or scan their QR code and add them in the game. The next band, customized outfit, a couple more gym badges, a few more medals, at least one silver medal, so that's doing enough on one particular medal to get it bumped up from bronze to silver, and then at least 10 friends. And in the 7 to 8 category, we've just bumped all those numbers up a little bit higher. The next one, the Sylph Road, this has to do with the community built around the game and not the game itself. So fill out a traveler card. That's basically creating an account and actually putting some information on your card. So like, what's your favorite Pokemon? How many have you caught? What's your EXP level? Stuff like that. This is entirely free, and the easiest way to sign up for it is to probably use your Google login as your sign-in. Next one, earning badges and avatars. There's multiple ways you can do these, so these could be participating in Community Day and actually doing a check-in with a Sylph Road volunteer. That's probably the easiest way, but there's a few other miscellaneous ways as well, like submitting Pokemon Nest or something like that. Avatars are similar. You can earn avatars different ways as well. And we can go more into that later, but probably the easiest way is doing stuff like participating in Community Days or handshakes with other players or submitting nests. For the 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 bands, same thing, we're just upping those numbers a little bit. The last category, knowledge and skill, this has to do with mostly around the game, around the intellectual property of the game, not so much with the game itself, but there's a little bit in there. So, knowing the game publisher. This is not who owns Pokemon, this is who is publishing Pogo. So, they're not exactly the same. The next band, who is the IP owner of Pokemon, so like, who owns the intellectual property, who owns Pokemon, who owns Pikachu, all these critters, who holds that copyright. Then the game publisher again, the legendary birds, which you can find in the game. They're also what the 3 different teams in the game are based around. And then you have one skill aspect to this category, and for this band, it's to make a nice throw. The next band, knowing the IP owner, the game publisher, legendary, so this is plural now, not just the birds, but others as well, and then knowing the next upcoming events, and being able to make curve throws. The last one, we're just upping a few of these, so IP owner, game publishers, legendaries, recent events, so past, upcoming, more than one, and then type effectiveness, so what's strong against what, and then skill, so not just curve throws, not just nice throws, but can you make a nice curve throw? And that's it. That's the rubric for this particular assessment. But of course you have other assessments as well, so it's not just this and done, but this is a significant grade for the group.